Alright, next one for your boss man. How soon should someone be allowed to compete?
Good question. Let me start this by saying I'm going to answer you based on my my beliefs in this regard, and
Of course,
I'll get
1000%.
I'll get to why. How long? There is not a single number that's going to represent every person on this planet. Everyone learns things differently. They different rates at which they can pick things up. But again, personally, there's no way I am putting someone in the ring to fight under a year of training. I'm not doing it. Why? It takes time to develop skill, right? Look how long it takes the most receptive humans, kids, look how long it takes them to learn to ride a bicycle. And when you scale that up now to teens, to adults, they take longer to absorb concepts, right? So why would I put someone in a ring where the other person, as a means of scoring points, they're hitting you, that hasn't been trained? Someone that they don't know their left from their right, they don't know a jab from a cross, a hook from an uppercut, they don't understand where to throw those punches from, they don't understand where to throw a knee, a kick, or an elbow from. Why would I put them into a ring without first having them develop those skills? It takes time to develop skills. It takes time to understand the range of those skills. It takes time to understand timing for those skills. And it quite frankly just takes time to put it all together, right? And at my club, most students get to sparring around 4 to 6 months, depending on how often they're attending. And even then, they get to sparring and they face a world of frustration, because what they see on TV, what they see on YouTube and the UFC, bro, like when they get the reality of what it means to hit and be hit, it reshapes their perception, their understanding of what it is. And most students that are patient enough to at least get to that point, when they start sparring and they see how difficult and frustrating sparring can be, that's when they truly understand, like why the standards are there. And that is very important. I am a coach that has standards, right? When it comes to competition, and I want my students to be safe, right? They should be able to spar, not get concussed, not pick up, nonsensical injuries on the basis of not knowing how to do the things properly. I've, on a daily, I shouldn't say daily, but on a weekly basis, we get so many inquiries at our club about wanting to spar, wanting to fight. And it seems as if, as time progresses, the questions, the mindset of people get even more ridiculous than the previous week. In recent times, I had one person, straight up say that they would like to fight Muay Thai in 3 months. They've never done Muay Thai before. They want to fight Muay Thai in 3 months. And when I said no, that's just not how I do it. Like, for us, you're going to need to be training at least a year before we even consider, putting you in for a demo. The conversation shifted to, well, what if I do jiu-jitsu with you? Can I fight in 3 months? I said, man, jiu-jitsu is hard. Just the same. You have to learn. You have to understand what you're doing. So no, right? At which point, further on in the process, the person said, they love the trial experience at the club, but they're gonna go somewhere else where the coach will let them fight in 3 months. By all means, I'll hold the door for you, right? Why? And it's simple, right? Every person that trains martial arts has the potential to compete if they want to. But there is work that's required, right? You're most definitely, like, I can say this, wholeheartedly, you're not gonna come to Art of Eight Martial Arts Academy and fight 3 months. And I don't care if you've fought elsewhere or you've trained somewhere else prior to coming here. I have a standard, I have a system. You need to come, you need to learn to work within that system, and then we'll see where your skills are before you get to the ring. It's much more than just like punching. It's competing is more than just striking, right? There's psychological impacts there. I, as the coach, need to understand. I need to learn how you operate. I need to learn how to communicate to you. Maybe I need to tell you left, right, up, down, X, Y, X, Y in order for you to take 2 steps forward. I'm not going to learn that in 3 months or 6. We're going to have to develop a relationship where you understand what I expect of you outside of the ring and in the ring, and where I can learn how you operate and how you interact. It's a time-based thing. It's process-based, right? So I'm not gonna let anyone fight under my tutelage in less than a year. It's as simple as that. There's a process. There's work that needs to be done. Like, you need to establish your fundamentals. You need to understand what that means. You need to understand how my fight team, my fight system works, so that when myself or any of our coaches are communicating with you in the fight, you understand what they're telling you to do, right? We also need to understand where your strengths are, right? I certainly, as the head coach, need to know that you are doing the work, right? Everybody nowadays is, I don't want to run, bro. Science says I don't have to run, bro. I can just hit the heavy bag. Maybe, but as part of this team, if you want to compete, there are certain things that you're going to have to do. And there are different tiers of expectation based on what the type of competition is. For demos, of course, the standard is lower. For win-loss fights at C class or low experience, the expectations are a little bit different. For B and A class, the expectations are going to be higher, right? And I need to see you progressing on that path, because it is a very digestible approach. And if you cannot do what's required to meet the minimum at the, let's call it the demo level, then how are you going to be able to meet what's required for C class? And if you can't meet what's required for C class, how can you expect to satisfy what's required for B class and A class, right? But everybody wants to be a provincial champion, a national champion, and a world champion. They do not want to put the work in. They want to skip the line. They want to get in, start today, fight tomorrow. Not going to work with me. Not going to work with me. I'm sorry. If there are other coaches out there that are happy to throw people in the competition ring, in 3 months or less, power to them. And that's the standard that they set. Everybody can do things a little bit differently. It's a free world for the most part, but that's not the standard that I apply when it comes to fighting. Look, man, I was the guy that was huffing and puffing and hanging on to the ropes for my very first fight. I should insert that right here, right? To the only adult in Dufferin County to go on the podium at IFMA World Championships, right? How do you go from that to competing with the best of the best in the world and picking up a bronze medal? Like, you don't do that by trying to be the best in 3 months, right? In my case, it took me something like 14 years or thereabouts, right? Life in between and whatnot. But even if I didn't have to relocate cities, like, there's no way I was going to go and medal at IFMA in less than 5-6 years, even if I was training and fighting hard back to back to back. There are levels to the game, and every level of the ladder that you climb is going to have different requirements and different standards. And if you are unwilling to go through that process, you're setting yourself up for failure. And again, any coach out there, you're free to do whatever it is that you want to do. But in my personal opinion, if you're willing to take someone off the street, tell them that you can put them in the ring in 3 months and they've never done that martial art before, you're setting them up for failure. And more than failure, you are setting them up for injuries that probably cannot be undone. My opinion.